the issue of just connectivity being lost due to whatever reasons, people stealing cables, and as you mentioned, also in our communities where we get to see a lot of digging in our communities and pavements are just left in a mess. So I'm thinking this will actually be beneficial to us as the people of 97.2 land. And you mentioned some of the countries that have already also started this conversation. And I know that one of them happens to be the country that Donald Trump has never heard of. That is Lesotho.
That's true.
And yeah, so what is the issue then? What is the current hurdle now in relation to, or that is preventing Starlink from getting a license in South Africa? Why do we not have a Starlink in South Africa?
Well, I think first of all is that every country that does business with a multinational company,
Yeah.
there needs to be rules, and the rules of the country must be very clear. And so now Elon's company has not passed those tests yet, because what we are now giving him as an opportunity is way bigger and more different than any other type of business.
Yeah.
It means he's going to have all our data, all our access to our information. He will know when you leave the house, what do you do? I mean, already with our cell phones, our information is easily taken away by these major companies that we are using their devices, you know. So the process needs to be that firstly he needs to be able to part away with 30% of his business. And be able to make sure that he opens opportunities to small-scale businesses. Now, you must think about it. All those cables that are being laid out for fiber, those are all small businesses. Some of them are working in remote areas. Now, you can imagine a guy like you has a company, you've been laying out cable, setting up small satellites in rural areas. Now, Elon comes, he does away with all those businesses. So we need to understand where the opportunities will be for small companies, so that, and then also there are 3 ministries that needs to be able to assist with this matter. There is the minister who's responsible for digital technology. There's a minister who's responsible for DTI, which is trade and industry, which is Pakistan. So firstly, you know, and then you've got the minister of communications. So it needs to start with the first minister first. This is a digital communications matter. He needs to have a green paper, a white paper. People need to be able to engage on this matter. And then from there, that issue, once the public has fully engaged with it, then it must go to the Department of Trade and Industry, where the minister then says, okay, our laws say this, BEE, affirmative action, 30%, small companies. How do we put together those small companies? And then it goes to the Minister of Communications. So what happened now is that the DA was starting to pull the cart before the horse. Minister of Communication is the last man on the job to actually make sure that ICASA and the regulations around it are all in place.
So for just interjecting this, could it be the reason why the minister was actually accused of trying to snake Starlink through the back door? Because I remember that conversation taking place in Parliament where the minister was actually accused of that. Maybe just to refresh our minds, what was the conversation about in Parliament when the minister was appearing in front of the portfolio committee? And I remember different political parties issuing statements to different media houses saying that not the minister or the government of national unity is trying by all means to actually give Elon Musk, I suppose, that particular or that at least there are some favors granted for Elon Musk following that visit by the president to the United States of America. What would have led to these different political parties taking that particular stance?
In fact, Brasten, who's going to join us, he wrote an article explaining the hiccups in this whole debate, saying that, explaining the whole process in terms of the Minister of Digital Technology needs to be the first one from a digital, because it's a digital technology matter. Then it must go through the Department of Trade and Industry, like I've explained. The third matter would be the communication side. That Minister of Communication was already running before the whole process should have gone through the right channels first. And that's why Brasten wrote an article to explain the procedure of the flaws that are already happening. Then, as a result, Kusela Diko, who's a member of Parliament, who's also a member within the communications portfolio committee, saw the statements of Prasten. And then through her, the portfolio committee summoned the Minister of Communications to come and report. And that's why Prasten was going to be the right guy to really go deep in this matter, to explain, because he started the whole thing. Because now the Minister of Communication was already doing interviews, talking about the whole Starlink thing, but speaking about things that should not, and even these things were not even tabled at the portfolio committee. So how does he, so now it shows that there are two centers of power. It's the minister's side, then it's the portfolio committee. They felt that they were left behind.
And I can imagine before or even after the conversation has taken place within the portfolio committee, it still has to be discussed. And if ever that particular conversation gets to be, or suppose we get to have a rule being made, it has to go through Parliament. So not only through the portfolio committee, am I correct?
Absolutely. So he says there's a paper that he has put out. That paper was not even consulted with the portfolio committee. They did not give it any thumbs up. It was not discussed, and yet he makes pronouncements without taking the portfolio committee along with him.
It is 38 minutes after 1 o'clock. The 2nd of June 2025. Mosimaneotsile James Seetelo. I'm in conversation with Sipho as we speak about this typical issue that is Starlink. Are we ever going to see Starlink arriving right here in South Africa? If so, then how long is the process going to be? Are we going to see some sort of an agreement and a compromise at least being reached? Are we going to see Elon Musk humbling himself there and knowing that in any country there are rules to be followed? And as a South African, well, of course, now in the United States of America, he should know also that in South Africa we do have some rules and regulations to be followed. And yes, there is no white genocide in South Africa. We're going to take a short breather and continue on the other side.